I wasted 7 years of my life under the influence of neo-Nazi hate. My journey into hate began pretty innocuously. I lived in a nice house, nice neighborhood. I was a rebellious kid. I liked to shock people. I liked to piss people off. This was a habit that became an addiction at a very young age. By the time I was 16, I was a full-blown alcoholic, and that's when I was introduced to white nationalism through white power skinhead music. I had been screaming in punk bands for a couple years at that point. It made sense to me to start my own white power skinhead band. That band was like a magnet for every pissed off white kid in southeastern Wisconsin. It was the most miserable years of my 55. I tried to kill myself twice during that span. It could be argued the entire 7-year period was an ongoing suicide attempt because I didn't care if I lived or died, and I regularly put myself in situations where my life was in danger. Fortunately, the exhaustion of addiction, not just the addiction to hate, but the addiction to alcohol, which I also was dealing with, led me to a point where I was so exhausted I was looking for an excuse to leave. That exhaustion was also driven home by the light that Jewish people shine upon the world. I had a boss, a high school friend of my mom, whose family had survived the Holocaust. And he gave me a job when I dropped out of high school at age 16. My mom called him in tears. His name was Jack Cooper, to say, "Hey Jack, I understand if you fire my son for wearing swastikas to your business. I'd fire him if I were you." And Jack said, "He's a good kid. He's just going through a phase." And his kindness, together with the memory of my Jewish friends that I grew up with, shout out to Dean Kaplan, Neil Willinson, Jenny Katz, and Julie Uso. People who showed me friendship and joy and what it means to be a human being. I remembered that time I spent with them. That kindness, those memories, plus a healthy addiction to Seinfeld, and my hate metal band after every band practice would sit down to watch This Is Spinal Tap, written and directed by Rob Reiner. The hypocrisy of my love for Jewish pop culture and Jewish genius, combined with the kindness of my boss and the kindness of my friends, led me to leave hate groups in 1994. I went public with my story on the MLK holiday of 2010. By October 7th of 2023, I was approaching 30 years of being clean from hate. On October 7th, the barbarity of that attack and the failure of the world to stand with the victims of this heinous terrorist attack brought hate to my heart again. And I was relapsing. I felt like I had started drinking again or something. I was depressed. I felt like a fraud. Once again, it was the Jewish community that led me out of this really dark time in my life. Attending many CAM events was really healing for me. Visiting my local shul, visiting my local JCC, seeing the light that Jews shine upon the world, and while they may have felt sparks of hatred, they didn't let hate grab them by the nose and make their decisions for them. So I followed that example. So I'm really honored to share that with you all today, and honored to join you and you guys on stage, and I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.